everybody. You got here today. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you came in today. My name's Debbie Lucas. I'm dietitian. This is John. He wants to be called cook, not chef, although he's a chef to mine.
He is. I call him chef.
I know. we should.
Say,
Um,
"Yes, chef."
And so we're talking about red, white, and or blue foods today. And when I was making some suggestions, Linda and John and I have a little email going and we're talking about ideas, and all mine happened to be blueberry, strawberry, and watermelon. And Linda said, couldn't we do something with a veggie? So John is doing the veggie. I'm all about the fruit, well, little veggies today. And so I got a couple thoughts. For me, I'm pretty much put mine together with the help of Vanessa and Tessa, who did a great job with the chopping. But I was going to just show the assembly of them, and maybe I brought a few gadgets to show too. Because I do love my gadgets. But John's really whipping something up, so. You go.
Yes.
Whip it good.
The blueberry cardamom chia seed pudding. This is an experiment for me. Chia puddings are not as exciting as they could be, but they are something that can be put together quickly. If you look at a lot of the vegan blogs, everybody's got something that uses chia because it's got all kinds of nutrients and it has a quality of gel in it that is very handy in other applications. So we're going to try this. The chia is pretty boring, little bird seeds. In fact, you could lose it to your birds. I'm using almond milk. Debbie supplied that because our house is a soy milk house, but we decided to follow the recipe. Blueberries, this is not the frozen. We could go smoothie and make it cold, but we're going with regular. The thing that drew me to this recipe to say, yeah, let's try it, is the spices. Most pudding type things will give you vanilla and say be happy. But this has got cardamom, which in my cooking says blueberries love cardamom. Cardamom loves blueberries. It sort of amps up the blueberry flavor. And it's got cinnamon, which when you think of a blueberry pie or blueberry anything else, cinnamon is an underlying flavor that kind of makes it happy. So we've got both of those together. There's a little bit of sweet here, maple syrup, a good basic sweetness, unrefined, and lastly some vanilla, which again is the basic one. Okay, I blended it just because I've got one pot, and we're going to be making new homage and that's a little bit more active. So I've just blended the berries and all the other things together. They've got a nice foam on the top here.
John, I'm gonna encourage you to use your audiology voice.
Cardiology voice?
Yeah.
It's chipmunk. I will work harder. Okay, thank you.
So how long does it have to sit?
This will have to sit, the recipe says half an hour. Well, I'd say it should begin gelling after 5 minutes. And so what we're gonna do is occasionally stir this because until the seeds gel up, they're gonna sit to the bottom.
Which is provides more nutrients, the seeds or the chia provides growing the grass? I think are the opposite recipe for this.
I don't have any idea. So you mean if you have like a stalk with chia seeds spilling out?
One of those heads that.
The sprouted stuff.
Yeah,
They don't eat that, they eat the
they
seeds.
just eat the seed.
Oh, they don't eat the sprout?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
Maybe you're,
Soy sauce, a little chili.
Yeah, I don't know about that, I don't know. But she does good, because it's gonna like form a gel here in order to make this pudding, but also you could use it as an egg replacer if you wanted to, because it forms that gel. So you can mix it with water and the chia and let it sit in 5 minutes. It'll down.
Tried that as an substance.
Uh-huh,
Get the recipes.
yeah, and it's
All right here.
depends on the recipe. It's not gonna be as clear as flaxseed, so you'll see the little seeds.
And you'll crunch it.
Yeah, no crunch then.
But people
And they'll
don't make
stuff
pudding
it
with
in.
flax seeds, right?
Uh-huh,
They do
they make food,
pudding.
pudding.
I've only heard of chia pudding.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't hear a flax pudding.
No, you don't.
flax has a different flavor.
Yeah, and I just think its property must be different.
Flex has been many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I use chia more, the chia that I use chia for raspberry jam when I make the raspberry brownies. Raspberry truffle brownies from Forks Over Knives.
Oh, you're gonna have to bring an example of that.
I didn't.
We just did not get
He
around
wants
to
to make
it.
cookies.
Those thumbprint cookies are pretty good too.
The jam is really easy. It keeps when you make it. It doesn't keep that long because you're eating it too quickly. So, should I go ahead and get this rolling?
Sure.
Okay. Muhammara is something that for me is the result of leaving meat and experimenting like crazy to see what I would like. And I found a Middle Eastern cookbook, and I saw this thing that looked very flavorful, and I could do it. The recipe that we have put out, I think, starts with fresh red bell peppers. You can do that. And I've done that, and they are wonderful. But that's if you want to do the major dance, but you can get all 4 peppers in this jar. And when the need arises, you can go to the cupboard and save yourself an hour of baking time and then waiting time and peeling time to get roasted red bell peppers. So don't be daunted by that. So we're gonna start with the peppers. Walnuts usually are handy. This is something that you see in a lot of the Middle Eastern cooking and the Iranian cooking, Persian cooking. It's a thickener, it's a flavorant, it's got protein, it fills you up, and toss that in. Tomato paste. For the longest time, I was buying those little 6-ounce cans and trying to save the little tablespoon of the half a can. Get these guys.
Yeah.
This is the way.
I agree.
Because you can put the lid on, it stays fresh in your refrigerator, you won't get the mold. And though it starts out being expensive, in fact, it's cost effective.
Is that on the shelf just like the other tomato paste, or where do you find that?
Next to it. Oh, and sometimes
It's usually on the top shelf.
yeah, it's on the top shelf, so that if you're a short person, you have to ask for it. Which, if you're an elite chef, you just say, "Get that for me." No, I say I'll take 2.
Certain brand, we just don't, any, they're all the same.
They're pretty much the same, some say double concentrated as compared to what? I can't tell, so I get what's cheap. And is in a tube. Breadcrumbs, usually I don't have breadcrumbs. I have panko, which is, again, if you're trying to cook something crunchy as a vegan chef, you're not gonna deep fry, or you're gonna get panko to do the crunchy part. So I usually have panko. Well, we're gonna experiment here. This is a gluten-free breadcrumb. And it's something that, again, you could make this at home, just take your stale bread, which occasionally you've got, and put it in your food processor and make crumbs. But you can get it already made for it. So we're doing that. A great discovery of the last year, pomegranate syrup.
Oh,
This is, pomegranate syrup is new, and you can't find it, you can use unsweetened cranberry juice concentrate. They're very similar in flavor. But this is the good stuff, and this particular brand is, all the pomegranates are Californian, so you help the locals. Aleppo pepper, I've mixed Aleppo pepper here, which is a mild pepper, and what else? Sumac. Sumac, another spice that you don't usually think about. You don't see it as very often. It is, if you live in a climate that doesn't have a lot of lemons, but you need something sour that's reliable. Sumac is what you get. So I've thrown the sumac in here as well, but you can use lemon juice. Just think something sour and think 1 to 1, and add the pomegranate syrup has sour in it as well. So you just think of the sour as helping the overall flavor of the dip.
Do you think it's worth getting that to add to your regular spice collection, the Aleppo? Because I've not gone there yet. Like, you have so many spices already, and then how often do you use Aleppo?
Monthly.
Okay,
If,
worth it.
when I found that a lot of the cooking that I do recently is Middle Eastern, because they're heavy in chickpeas, heavy in lentils, heavy in the kinds of things that can take advantage of having the pomegranate syrup, the Aleppo pepper.
Yeah,
Where I don't want cayenne, cayenne is, yeah, I can't use the recipe asks for half a teaspoon of cayenne. It's like, what world? I mean, it's just too much. But Aleppo is down a bit. It's got a little bit of burn, but not a, it's not.
okay. I wonder if it's in the bins at Winco. I haven't looked,
Yeah.
That Aleppo.
I mean, I think
because
that-
then you can just buy a little bit.
What am I looking for at Winco?
Aleppo pepper.
Okay,
You know, at the end where they have all the seasonings.
Yeah.
I've
there's a,
not
there's a
noticed
jar
it.
on the shelf there, I think. I think there's one on the shelf you could show Dodie. The top.
Great town. In Silk Road. There was a gigantic battle. um, 5 years or so ago.
Here's Aleppo. Oh. And here's, pass them around so you can see what they look like.
So lastly, we've got a little salt. And cumin, I'm using more cumin than I ever thought possible. Because I'm using it in Indian food, in Middle Eastern food, in Mediterranean food, Mexican food. It's something that is surprisingly fresh in our house. So that's here. Of course, the gift of the gods, garlic. This is something that we use maybe 2 heads of garlic a week. This is, as with onions, life is not life without garlic. So, you can live without a lot of things, but garlic is not one of them. So we are going to. This is.
So this is making a dip.
Right. This is something that will keep if you're going not to eat it all in one go. It's something that you make hummus or done. Done a layered dip where I'll hummus on the bottom, baba ganoush in the middle, which is baba ganoush is an eggplant paste with, and then muhamara on the top, so you've got this sort of sweet, sour red, and a nice earthy middle, and a glorious bean at the bottom.
That's fine.
So we'll pour this out. This will need this, the flavors are gonna need to sort of get together. So it will benefit from sitting. But it'll be ready when you get here. And you keep this out of sight, because people will be grabbing them.
we hid it from you.
This is a cheat. If you're rigorous and low fat, anti-fat, don't eat these. But this is a corn chip that has quinoa and chia, and maca, maca is a root, and no salt.
Oh.
And the test limit on the bag says 10. So
Says what?
10.
10 chips per
And-
serving.
Which saturated fat is it?
It's lower in fat than regular chips.
So-
Saturated fat is 0.
It's only 4 grams of fat. Most tortilla chips are 6 or 7.
That's great.
So these are,
It's amazing stuff.
Why, thank you. We won't turn that down.
So what makes it blue?
blue corn.
Blue corn.
Yeah. So rather than just get blue corn chips, which when these were not in the store, and these are Safeway or the co-op and probably other places, because it's a pretty well circulated brand. I've tried the blue corn chips. They are boring. They are just pathetic. Not worth wasting the money on. This, yeah, this is the scoop. That's good scoop.
Can you get that anywhere or
What's that?
can you get that anywhere?
Anywhere.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, well, you have to look. It's usually
Where do you shop?
Safeway and the co-op.
Safeway and then Rayleigh's carrying that thing.
They do? Oh, thank you.
I'll leave
I don't know if they
that.
have that, but they carry that
Yeah,
brand. 'Cause
I've
that-
not looked, so I don't even know if my really have it.
I can leave the bag. We can examine,
It sounds really dangerous. I had to give up my chip habit.
You know, that is true, to know what your kind of kryptonite is. If it's chips, you stay away.
But could I
mine
like
is
continue the?
cheese.
Yeah, let's look at that.
And the jalapeno cheese.
Oh,
I could do a bag in an afternoon, what you got?
If you wanted to use, these two as a dip, what do you have to suggest with the kind of vegetable?
yeah, actually I do. And let me show you, because one of the things we used today in this salad was jicama. And remember Tim Marie used to make planks of jicama. So, has anybody used jicama before?
Yeah.
It's kind of white, potato-like. It comes in a big round ugly ball. So you peel it, and today we couldn't find our peeler, so Vanessa was smart enough, she just cut a little bit and started, almost like you peel off leather, like you're peeling off skin. She just peeled it off, then they cut it in quarters, and so I would take this, I'd get a bigger knife though. And you could just cut it into little planks, and you could cut those then into little sticks, or leave it in a plank. And then if you had a lot of leftover, you could just soak your planks of jicama in like lemon juice, and then it's a really nice treat that you can just grab for any of your little dips that you have. So thank you for asking that. Good question.
What did you say the name of that was?
Jicama,
Jicama.
It's Jicama. You might often find it in Mexican food or Mexican salads and stuff. So my dish here is for red, white, and blue. Strawberry, blueberry, and the white is jicama salad. So all it is are those fruits with a little mint in it. So just mint cut up, sliced up. And then it says to just squeeze like lime or lemon over it. So I've got a couple limes, and to go be true to my gadget, does anybody have a squeezer?
Not anymore.
You know, I can't live without this. There are certain things I have that I keep in the garage, but I only use them once a year. I use this one almost every day. And so all you do is you take your lemon or your lime, or if you have an orange, you really need a little bigger one, or you cut your orange in quarters. And you take your halves and you put them face down, which isn't to me intuitive. I thought it would go the other way. And then you just squeeze. It's kind of a good hand and arm workout. And then you squeeze. What? It catches the seeds. Yes. So I'm just gonna squeeze a few of these on this salad. And then I saw on a, cooking show or something the other day. They did this, and they had a bunch of things they squeezed. And then when they were all done, they put the squeezed ones back in here and press more to get every little last drop of juice that you get. I thought that was kind of a good idea. Now, the recipe also says you could drizzle something sweet over this if you wanted, like maple syrup or agave syrup or something like that. I'm not gonna do it now, but we can do it if you taste it and go, yeah, this needs something. I think our strawberries and blueberries are pretty darn sweet.
Date
Syrup would be awesome, yes. So to me, this is one of the best gadgets go. You know, I squeezed that already and more is coming out. Now, when I was looking for recipes, I saw this recipe, but then I also saw almost the exact same thing that they made a salsa out of. So instead of using the jicama, they just did the strawberries and blueberries. They diced them smaller. They put cilantro and the lime in it, and they called it salsa. So I thought that was good. You can also take this exact same thing, throw it over your lettuce, and now you got a salad. And then to make it fun, the recipe said, take your extra little planks and make stars out of them, which I had no idea how to do, but Vanessa and Tessa made little stars. Would that be cute? Well,
Playing with your food.
I didn't play with your food. Oh, and then another gadget I wanted to show while I was here. And now that it's strawberry season, I got this one back out. It's my little plucker of the end of your strawberry. You know, it's not a major thing, and you could use your little paring knife and cut this off. Or a lot of times you'll cut it, right? And you lose a lot of strawberry. This one are little grabbers. And you just put them in there, you kind of do a little twist, and then it pulls out the root. Now, you might think that's the silliest thing you've ever seen. But no, if you're doing a bunch of strawberries, it is like heaven. Now, my mother-in-law did not like this gadget when she was alive, because she thought you wasted too much strawberry, and you kind of do waste a little bit, because it pulls out all the little innards that are attached to the root of your end. But it depends on what you're doing them for, how many you're doing, and how pretty you want them to be. But I happen to like that little gadget too.
The whole, I think, is tasteless.
It is, you're right.
So it's.
So why not get rid of it?
Yeah.
You. All right. So why do you think we even talked about red, white, and blue foods? Who cares about red, white, and blue foods besides it's patriotic?
People who like antioxidants.
Thank you. Very good. The colorful fruits and vegetables that we eat are full of antioxidants, and they often are very anti-inflammatory also. So when we're eating our colorful foods, we're helping to reduce our risk of heart disease and help our blood pressure and help reduce our risk of cancer and help our immunity. And then I did, of course, find a little study to kind of go along with our talk. They looked at one of the things in our fruits and vegetables are flavonoids. And that is a phytochemical or a phytonutrient, they call it, plant nutrients that have beneficial effects. They help the plant, they protect the plant, and then they do good things for us too. So they looked at flavonoids in this diet of 62,000 women and 23,000 men. They were over 60 years old, and they were part of two different studies, the Women's Health Study and the Health Professionals Study. And when we're looking at studies, first of all, you need to make sure there's a lot of people in the study, or it could have just been a fluke. So this had a lot of people in the study that checked, that met that. And really, if you're looking at this to see, is this going to help me too? You want these people to be kind of like you. So for me, they're over 60 years old, so they are kind of like me. They're younger than me, really. But what they found out, and let me look here, is the highest flavonoid intake had a 15% lower risk of frailty, which I thought was interesting. You're usually looking at your heart disease or you're looking at cancer, but they were looking at frailty and 12% less chance of impaired physical function and 12% less risk of poor mental health by eating these flavonoids. By eating our colorful fruits and vegetables and plant foods, that helps our DNA, it helps our cells that are in our brain too. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, the men, sorry, you guys, you didn't do quite as well, but it could have been the way they did the study. The men weren't followed for as long as the women were, but they did show a 15% decreased risk of poor mental health. So eating your colorful foods is the way to go.
I think they give you endorphins.
And they do, oh, they make you give you those feel good things. You're right.
Good for the gut biome.
It is. It is good for your gut microbiome. Well, because of the fiber. The fiber is the food that your gut microbiome likes. And so because they're full of fiber, that helps your gut. So thank you. And then your gut is also linked to your brain health, and it is linked to your immunity. So it helps develop your immunity too. In our blue foods, like our blueberries, well, and purple foods too, there's a phytochemical called anthocyanins. And those help with heart disease, lower risk of cancer, or antioxidants, like they're all antioxidants and anti-inflammatory, and it could help immunity. And then lest we think white has got nothing in it, they particularly look at cauliflower, garlic, and onions. It has a phytochemical called allicin in it. That's antioxidant and anti-tumor. And they included mushrooms in the white also. So we just want to eat more plant foods. Even if you're, I know we're always promoting whole food, plant-based diet. If you're not ready for that, that's okay, but eat more plants. And hopefully that will squish out some of the stuff that isn't so good for you.
What is it that the white has?
The white is allicin. Allicin, not like the name. It's ALLICIN.
Well, if you can't find that, don't worry.
What is
Like-
Alice?
Yeah.
What?
What is Alice?
It's a phytochemical. That's just one of the plant nutrients that seems to be associated with anti-tumor. They're alliums, thank you. That's right. Okay, let me get to my next one. So this was from the website, that same guy that we did some recipes last time we were here, Shane and Simple. And this was a watermelon salad with cucumber and red onion. And then, so we just put all those together, and my wonderful choppers did all that for me. It's got mint and basil in it. And then you put a little dressing over it. Now, the dressing that he used happens to be one that we've talked about before that you can make. It's the 3-2-1. I should go 3-2-1. And so it's 3 parts vinegar, whatever vinegar you like. 2 parts mustard, whatever mustard you like. And 1 part of a sweetener, like maple syrup or date syrup or agave syrup or something like that. And you just blend it up and it's sort of a balsamic, I use balsamic dressing, but we could have used like that pomegranate molasses. We could have used that too. That would have been very good. So it says you pour that over it. Now, I don't know, this might be too much. So this is a nice dressing because you can make it so different depending on what you use. You might pick one of those fancy vinegars, like I go to those oil and vinegar stores. Do you go to those? Where they're going, here, try this combo. They're very fun. And I just get vinegars. So you can get your pomegranate vinegar. My most recent one was a cinnamon pear vinegar, which I love. So once we put this on, now we're going to sprinkle it with our feta, but no, not regular feta for us. We are going to use tofu. So I took my block of tofu, and sorry, I already did it, so you can't see me make it, but I pressed the water out. So you get a block of tofu, it's usually sitting in water, and then you got to press the water out, and that helps it to absorb the flavor better. And so I use my tofu press, another gadget that I use at least once a week, if not more. So in this one, I put my block of tofu in here. I put my lid on it. And then I drop my little sides over, and we've got 3 levels of rubber bands. And so I go to the first level first. Oh, hard to do with glove. You press it down, you lock it, you let it sit for however much time you got. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you got. And then I just dump it over the sink and what water squished out, squished. And then I open it up, move it to the second rubber band. Same thing. Then I move it to the third rubber band. And then I let it sit as long as however much time I have.
So you never put it on the third rubber band at the get-go?
You know, I haven't. Because I am a rule follower. And so I don't, because that seems like it's very wrong to do.
What do you think, Tom?
I would have gone with the first rubber band and stopped. If I wanted more water out, I'd freeze it.
Oh, see, that's a good idea. You're right.
And then when you thaw it, the water just sort of comes out and you've got essentially
It's
a
like a
tofu
sponge.
skeleton that will suck up any of your spices.
Yeah,
or
but that doesn't use a
sauces.
fancy dish.
It doesn't use a gadget, John.
It uses a freezer. An American appliance
So-
that saved the world.
So do you press it before you freeze it, or you just freeze the whole block?
Just freeze the whole block
Okay.
in package, just,
If you have time for that sort of nonsense.
you know, when you come home from the store, I do have my own tofu press and I do use it, but it's.
Well, Debbie, I dare you to try the third rubber band at the get-go one time, just to see, just to see.
Now, you get all the time. That scares me a little.
So what gadget store do you go to get that?
I got this on Amazon, the biggest gadget store there is. And before I had this, I would put my tofu on a plate, put another plate on top of that, put my cast iron skillet on top of that. And then the cast iron skillet falls over. And then you try to put it back up. And this has been life-saving for me, but I hadn't thought of the third, going straight to the third one. It's honestly never occurred to me.
See, I would use this, if I were making tofu, which turns out to be a really simple thing to do.
Yes.
I would use that to press the curds once you've made them,
Mhm.
because you can graduate it and go light press or intense press.
Yeah.
And this is exactly the right size for that, so.
Okay.
This would be of the two, the one I had has a spring and it just mashes it.
Yeah.
And
No 1, 2, and 3.
no 1, 2, and 3 is just, you're just. And this makes sense for something like that.
That's so funny because really it never occurred to me.
I'm just curious, have you ever made flavored tofu or,
I've never made those.
No,
no, okay,
because that was not my target.
okay.
my target was actually, I made the tofu because I wanted what was left after, after I made the soy milk.
Oh, okay.
Cause I was gonna make fish substitute that I had gotten when my daughter was a toddler. And she was, can you make this? Can you make this? But it needed that ingredient. And so I thought, well, the only way I can get it is to make it. So, and I made the tofu and gave it to her mother, who loved it. It's not so fresh, it's wonderful.
Okay, gonna have to try that. Okay, now that tofu all squished out, now it's denser. And then you make a little brine. So this from Shane and Simple, I used his, I've used different ones. It's usually like a lemon juice and a vinegar and some seasonings like garlic or Italian seasoning or something. And then you just let it sit in that. Now also he has said to cut the tofu into squares, but I like to tear it off and kind of crumple it so it looks a little bit more like feta. So I've been letting it sit here. It's been sitting for almost an hour. And then we'll just sprinkle that on there like we would feta. And so you'll have to tell me what you think. John said, and he's probably very right, said, you didn't put salt in there? And I did. I put nutritional yeast though, which is kind of a cheesy flavor.
So what's in the brine?
It was water, vinegar, I think lemon juice, nutritional yeast, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder.
Apple cider vinegar, maybe?
Yes. It was, I think it was apple cider.
Oh,
Yeah. But it kind of made it a little too much.
I like that better.
Then-
Vinegar.
Oh, oh yeah, it was apple cider. Yeah. Okay, so we'll have to see how we like that. I will leave this a little separate if you want to try it. But I have to show you my last gadget. I don't think I've shown you enough gadgets. I'm not sure if you're on board with the gadget. But I'm gonna take,
Probably the most fun gadget of the pack.
it totally is, because it's cherry season, and you know, during those 2 weeks of cherry season, however long that lasts, I want to buy a lot and freeze them. And so then I've got to pit a lot of them, which is, there's different ways to pit. I mean, you can put it on top of a wine bottle and put your chopstick through it, and that's supposed to shoot it out. But no, you gotta have the cherry pitter.
You need to do infomercials. That's what-
And so all you do is
It
take-
looks like.
oops, I'm upside down. Stick it in here, there's a little place for it, and then I'm just gonna shoot it out. Oh, there it goes. And it shoots it out, and now I've got a bunch of these. And so I like it during cherry season, because I like to get them and freeze them. So you can just do a lot, or you make it a cherry pie, or cherry cobbler, or something you need a lot of cherries for. It's just a lot faster. So I'll leave this up here in case you want to try it, and I know you're gonna like it.
And was that at the
Amazon?
the Amazon gadget store too?
This, actually, no. For a while, I got into the gadgets because Williams Sonoma in our mall had little classes on Sunday after church. And I would go over there and they were meant to sell gadgets. And it worked.
So does William Sonoma still
You
exist?
look like Popeye.
Yes, you're
Is
right.
William Sonoma still a store?
Yes, it is. And I noticed when I was at the mall the other day, they still do that. Yes,
Everywhere.
they
It's
still
like
do the little
Amazon.
classes, the little gadget classes. They do it to sell their items and, you know, I was like,
You should be a demo person with them and get a discount on their bed.
oh gosh, I know.
What you need is 3 of those with some grandchildren. And say, okay, it's a race.
That is true, you're right. Now, our other thing Linda made for us was our aqua fresca.
Leanne made that one.
Sandy, Leanne made it. Thank you, Leanne. Hi back there. So this was just a drink mixed with water and watermelon, and you just blend it up. Did you?
Blend it up and strain the seeds.
Strain the seeds.
Yeah.
And so that's super fun. And it tastes just like you're eating watermelon. And then, Linda, did you make this one?
Yeah, it's just tea.
This is hibiscus tea, which is red. It goes along with our red tea. And then she threw in some berries and some strawberries, it looks like, in there. So it's gorgeous. And hibiscus has been shown to help lower blood pressure. I do have my hibiscus tea every single day, even though my blood pressure is still too high. but I'm trying. It's a good way to go. So that, I think, is our last red food. How's your pudding turn out?
Looks like pudding.
Do you have to, you don't have to refrigerate it for it to be
It will,
thick enough?
no, it will do this, I mean,
Uh-huh.
it'll get almost solid in the refrigerator, especially
Okay.
overnight.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you could do that. I've got some berries here to put on top to disguise the fact that
Lovely.
it's not gonna be rigid like Jell-O.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay, so I guess the bottom line is, and thank you all for coming, that we need to eat our fruits and vegetables and our colorful fruits and vegetables. Don't just stick with red, white, and blue. Do all the colors. But that was just our theme for today. So questions, comments, things you just can't wait to eat that are red, white, and blue?
All of that.
All of it, okay. All right. Well, I think we should eat then. Oh, that's a good idea, Linda. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.